starting off just like where College Game Day is starting off this week. We're featuring Notre Dame yet again, the number 11 Fighting Irish, 5.5-point favorites on the road at number 17 Duke. Durham is going to be rocking this week. It is the second big home game in the month of September for the Duke Blue Devils. You'll recall they knocked off the mighty Clemson Tigers on week 1 when no one outside of Mr. Garrett Turney on this podcast was giving them a chance to do that. Toot your own horn, sir. That was a great call. We'll still keep calling back to that. But this is going to be a really interesting matchup with two teams that I think really want to do a lot of the same thing. Their offense is going to look really different, right? Duke is more focused on a quarterback run game behind Riley Leonard. Notre Dame wants to be a more down the field passing attack with Sam Hartman. Two fantastic college quarterbacks, so it's going to be fantastic to watch them battle it out. But this, to me, is going to be a battle between, the Notre Dame offense and the Duke defense. Which one of those two units is going to prove to be the best one on the field? Notre Dame's 20th in total offense, even taking into account the less than stellar look last week, and Duke is 16th in total defense in Mike Elko's second year. You always see a huge jump in year 2 under Mike Elko. And here's another battle that I'm really interested to look at, because I think this could be what breaks the back for the Duke Blue Devils if they're upset-minded here. Duke is allowing third down conversion rates at 43.1%. That is 95th in the country. Notre Dame is converting 54.4% of their third downs good for 10th in the country. So a big matchup to circle there. Who's going to win the money down? That's always a big deal. I think it could be even more of a big deal in this one. If you're looking for some Jimmies and Joes to watch out for, Audric Estime is a low-key Heisman contender. I think he is the unsung hero on this Notre Dame offense. And one of the reasons they couldn't get going last week against Ohio State is Ohio State did a great job of containing the big one, right? He's busted off a long touchdown run in pretty much every one of their games. Ohio State takes that away. He still averaged 5 yards a carry, but that was his lowest average yards per carry since week 3 of 2022 against Stanford. He had beaten that every single game since then, and the Buckeyes prevented that back-breaking run. So can Duke recreate that recipe? Can they get rid of the back-breaking run? Can they keep Audric Estime out of the end zone? And can they keep pace with Sam Hartman's led offense? I think this is going to be a fantastic, big-time quarterback matchup. And can Duke get a couple turnovers? That's the big question I want to know. They've done a really good job of taking away the football from the other teams so far. They have 8 takeaways and 4 interceptions. Notre Dame has 5 interceptions as well. So which one of these quarterbacks is going to stand the test against a tough secondary test? That's the two questions that I'm looking for in this one.
Yeah, Trey, I think that's the place to start is with the quarterbacks. You're looking at Sam Hartman, Riley Leonard, both of them, pretty good quarterbacks, pretty solid. And I think when you try to analyze this and break it down, they're going to be the breaking point because, look, both teams run the football well. You just talked about Audric Estime. I want to shout out that, they got some good runners over there on Duke's side as well. Jordan Waters, Jaquez Moore, both running very efficiently alongside Riley Leonard, who, as the dual threat quarterback, is able to kind of turn things on there. But, man, Waters has just been a touchdown machine, 7 touchdowns to this point in the season. Pretty solid for the Duke offense right there. And so, I think that's going to kind of even out. Playmakers on both sides, though nobody necessarily scares you in the wide receiver room. I know Jalen Calhoun, is kind of the guy right now for Duke. Jordan Moore also having a pretty good season to go along with Greathouse on the Notre Dame side. So, look, there's going to be good playmakers on both sides. I think that you just have to acknowledge that at the end of the day, it's going to be which quarterback do you trust to make the big play in the big moment? Do you trust the experience from Sam Hartman? Well, I thought I did at least last week going into the Ohio State game, and then maybe he wasn't as dynamic as I thought he was going to be. And then the other question is, well, Riley Leonard, he already showed it against Clemson, but was that fool's gold, right? Was the Clemson win a little bit of fool's gold because maybe Clemson is not who we thought they were? And so it's kind of going to be interesting to see who's real and who's not. I think whichever team wins this deserves a spot in the top 10, well within the top 10. And I think that they should be respected with that, regardless of who ends up winning this game.
It's definitely going to be a quality win for whoever does get it. Again, spread 5.5 in favor of Notre Dame. You can catch this one 6:30 p.m. on ABC. Couple nuggets for you, Garrett, before I make my pick. First of all, Notre Dame now does have a plan for 10 men on the field. I don't know if you saw this, but according to Andy Staples, who talked to Marcus Freeman this week, the plan now is there will be a signal. They didn't say what the signal was. They want to keep that top secret, I guess. But there will be a signal from the sideline, and the near side corner, if they're out of timeouts and they have 10 men on the field again, will now jump across the line and just push the wide receiver down, or at least make contact with the wide receiver. So he gets an encroachment with contact penalty, 5 yards, half the distance to the goal, whatever it ends up being.
That's certainly a strategy. I
That's
guess
a strategy. I think it's
if
great.
you can't figure out how to get 11 guys on the field, commit penalties. Like that's
Well, and they said they didn't mind the penalty, right? Or they didn't want to get the penalty. He's kind of backtracked on that, said that the penalty would be okay. It's one of those situations where when you're a first-time head coach, and this is Marcus Freeman's second year, but when you just haven't run into certain situations, right? You don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it, right? And he just didn't know how to handle that situation. So now he has a plan for it, learning from our mistakes. I'm encouraged by that. All that to say, other nugget I wanted to throw out there, Duke as a dog under Mike Elko. They've been an underdog 7 times against the spread. They are 6-1 against the spread, and they have 5 outright wins. So I'm taking Duke plus 5.5. The only loss that Duke has against the spread as an underdog was the Kansas game last year. They missed the cover by 1 point. It was 35-27 in a 7-point spread.
Yeah, this Duke team competes. I'm picking them plus the 5.5 as well. I think the big key here, and I've got them on the screen right there, Dwayne Carter, I think, is going to be your key piece to look at here. The way he just builds stuff up in the trenches, he's going to be a monster in this game. I think if he can stifle this run game for Duke, for Notre Dame, if he can kind of stifle that running game, force him into longer situations where Sam Hartman has to make those plays, I think it's going to be a bad situation for Notre Dame long term. And so I'm going to go ahead and pick Duke plus the 5.5. I really, really, really want to pick him outright. I really want to do it. I don't think I have it in me to do it. I still think Notre Dame wins this game. Maybe just a last-second field goal to win by 2 or something like that. But I think Duke will cover this, and I think it'll be an awesome scene. But man, I like in terms of confidence picks in this one, I've got low confidence that Notre Dame is going to actually win this one. I'm really, really close to flipping this to Duke, and I really want to. I just don't think I can.
Well, I'm right there with you too. I want to pick them outright. Notre Dame's going to have to respond after a gut-wrenching loss, and that's always tough to do. You can't let Ohio State beat you twice. I think they take care of business from the final score standpoint, but Duke covers the 5.5-point spread.
Gracious, how about that?